community school. I like that. Sorry, not to borrow your title, but I like that.
I'm Nancy Bockwitz, retired teacher and passionate about education. And I didn't know anything about this school till I was asked to sit in the panel. So I'm learning something new every day today.
It's nice to meet you guys. I'm Madelyn Melchisedeck. So it's finally the end of it all. I can't wait, kind of. So after these past 12 years of public school and almost kind of given up a couple of times, I've discovered that my passion really lies in like community work and preserving community and helping with connection. Now in the world, connection just feels so scarce, and divisions between people are like more common than ever. And I've found throughout my years at the community school that I'm passionate about bringing people together and preserving the spirit of community. And after these few years trying to figure out what I want to do long term, I've been a part of many clubs and wellnesses, many of which what I've thought that I would want to do in the future, like the youth empowerment program, which I was a part of since freshman year through 2 different facilitators. It changed a lot throughout what we actually did. We actually, for one project of ours, we did teach and respond to questions for our sexual health curriculum, and I thought that was really cool. And we also volunteered for Planned Parenthood many of times and Pro-Choice Washington, and that also like really awoke my interest in community and wanting to like educate and help others while also amplifying people's voices who aren't heard very much. My career of choice, though, that I've come to find is my passion throughout these years is urban planning. I've had an interest in this since my freshman year, from just using the city bus, consistently noticing the unwalkability or inaccessibility of buses in different places. And I've thought about wanting to make a change in it, but I never knew exactly what career title I would have to do to make a change in that. But I have found the career title through 2 different TCS projects where we learned about urban planning and urban sustainability. I've never been the most book smart, really, but these projects have helped me a lot with like understanding different concepts like math and stuff. There was quite a few different math lessons in current climate and Friends in Green Places, and it helped me understand it more because it's like a real life example of math rather than just like numbers and stuff, which I find it hard to understand. Starting with current climate, which is where my passion for urban planning has grown. In current climate, we specifically talked about how climate change directly affects Spokane. And learning about our river and its history, it really just showed me how like throughout since our ancestors were not our ancestors our Native Americans were here, the health of the river has really deteriorated, and learning about that has made me think a lot about being more sustainable and informing others on how we can be more sustainable. In this project, I created a PSA for KYRS, the local news station, for how we can help support our Spokane River and the salmon in the Spokane River, because we have been constantly trying to reintroduce them. However, a lot of it has been unsuccessful. It's definitely not as thriving as it used to be. I can play this now. Oh.
We're gonna need the mouse.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Madelyn from the community school. How can we take action to help our river? One way is to cut down on your water usage. Salmon have not populated our waters for nearly 110 years. The tribes of the Columbia River have been putting an effort to reintroduce salmon to areas upstream of Chief Joseph, Grand Coulee, and Spokane River dams for the past 7 years. In order to help these tribes reintroduce salmon that have been lagging for over a century, you can cut down on your water usage to help keep the river cool and create a safe and healthy environment for salmon in our river.
So I did write that and record it for KYRS to be played as a public service announcement on the radio, because that was one of our benchmarks in the project, was to create a public service announcement, and I decided to do it about our river. We also, as well, I could not find my art piece for this project, but we did make art for to advertise the Climate Cup, which is a competition that our school enrolled in, and we basically would track our sustainability progress and what we change in our personal lives and in our school to gain into points, and then we would compete against other schools compared to how our points were doing against theirs, and we did end up winning. I don't have the trophy with me. I'm not really sure what that is, but it did happen, and there's the congratulations post. Yeah, this really drove me into wanting to take sustainability and being aware of climate change into my own life, and educating other people on it and the long-term effects on what different things you might not even think of could have an effect on our planet. Oh, I already played that. Friends in green places. Between learning about the sociological effects in friends in green places and the importance of urban design, we also learned about green spaces, or also referred to as third spaces, as in not home or work. It's very beneficial to maintaining community between residents in largely populated areas, or even can be implemented into more rural areas. In this project, we also learned the importance of biodiversity in green spaces as well, along with how to calculate biodiversity, which is another part of the math that I was talking about. And we did go along in our own city and calculated the biodiversity between Main Avenue and Garland Boulevard, and created this scientific poster. We learned how to calculate density of the trees, as well as actual different species of trees, to calculate biodiversity and how much is in each area. As you can see, well, maybe not really because the font is very small, but Garland Boulevard is right here. It had much more of a biodiverse population and a lot more trees, a lot bigger trees than downtown on Main Avenue. It's a lot of smaller trees, a lot of the same species, kind of. Not much biodiversity, but also we are pretty biodiverse. not everything is the same. But we also learned in this project how important biodiversity could be to the human psyche and just like improving mental health overall and creating more third spaces or green spaces provides more opportunity for physical health, keeping up your physical health. It provides more opportunity to sustain community, and it just being around in a biodiverse area naturally just makes you a little bit more happier. So I always thought that was really interesting, and I think that in my future career of urban planning and urban design, I would like to advocate for more third spaces and green spaces, because personally I've looked for those. There's not many of them, and even if there are some, it's not very communal, not very people are speaking to each other, all that. My next steps for my newly adult world after graduating will be I've already been attending SFCC to get my associate's degree, which will give me a head start in this career or any other career that I may choose to do if I end up changing my mind one day. I just thought it would be a good investment to my future, so I've been working for that the past couple of years. I do have like 15 or 20 credits to finish, so I will be doing that in the fall. And once I finish that, I do want to plan on attending WWU for Western Washington University for their award-winning urban planning program. Their student work has been recognized on a national, statewide, and international basis, and they have been recognized specifically for problem-solving solutions. And in 2017, actually, students received outstanding student planning project award for the American Planning Association and the Planning Associate of Washington for a sustainable development planning study. And the urban planning program there also received a reward in 2020 from the American Association and Planning Association of Washington for their Excellence in Planning Award for the City of Ferndale Downtown Redevelopment Plan. After learning about this, I figured like this would be a good school for me to pursue this career into. WWU is also one of 16 nationally accredited programs to actually give planning certification. So I thought that would be a good choice. For the next few years, the next 10 years is what we wanted to look ahead in our life. I couldn't tell you everything exactly that I'm going to be doing in the next 10 years. I do end up changing my mind a lot. But I do know that I am very passionate about this career, and I do genuinely plan on like going after it. It's not just for presentation purposes. I do want to also continue living in the Pacific Northwest and try making change first in a statewide level. I think that would be like my first big goal that I would like to achieve in the next 10 years. The more years of experience you have in this field, the more you can get paid also. Specifically, after getting my bachelor's in urban planning at WWU and being able to have the certification, there's another opportunity called the American Institute of Certified Planners certification, which is an additional professional credential for planners. WWU students apply for fast track membership to get into that program, and upon graduation from the urban planning major, students qualify for the program, and you have to take some exam, and once you pass it, plus with earned leader professional experience, you can become a certified planner, and they can earn up to $16,000 more annually. And I thought that was also a very good opportunity from this school, is the fast track work towards this certification, so I can maybe get that bonus when I'm older. The job outlook for urban planners also is pretty strong. According to the American Planners Association, in 2018, their survey said the median salary for an urban planner was $79,000 a year, plus the 16. I could be doing pretty good. WWU's urban planning program graduates also show high percentage placement in the professional jobs that they land, usually within 6 months of graduation. Obviously, a great opportunity. I would love to do that, and I do genuinely plan on going towards this career. I think that it would be very good for me, as I like listening to people's voices, and I feel like that is a lot of what urban planning needs, because if nobody's happy with the city or how it's built or planned, nobody's gonna really be happy living there. And that just kind of affects everything else, like work ethic, mental health, physical health. So I just think that this would be a good step to like get towards a world one day where maybe we can be more environmentally sustainable, and also generally emotionally more sustainable. I know that the US doesn't have that high of happiness rates. I think I would like to make a change in that. And thank you.
So would you pronounce your last name again? Was it
Melchisedeck.
Melchisedeck? So the CH is like a K, Melchisedeck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I have a name, Bachwitz. Bachwitz, it looks like. So, love names. First of all, I appreciated listening to you, and I could tell you were probably a little nervous to do it, but you powered through, and I forgot that you were nervous. You convinced me you weren't. I like your passion for doing community work, and I love what you talked about with helping with connection between people, or between anything, especially between and among people. You hit on a very important point, I think, in our current society, is the lack of connection. At the airport, we just came back from a trip. At the airport, husband and wife are having lunch at a table in between flights, both on their phones, not looking at each other, not talking to each other. And I often tell my husband, you know, we shouldn't have the cell phones at the breakfast table, but sometimes that's the only time you have. We've got a busy day. But that lack of connection, to me, is going to be the downfall of human interaction. So good for you to hit on that. And what a wonderful path for you to choose to want to help the community. We always need people who are passionate about that. Many people are afraid of being involved with a group or going out and putting themselves in front of a group of people. That's where your heart seems to lie. Urban planning, I mean, where did you come up with that? I mean, at your age, I never would have thought of that. So I'm sure a lot of it comes from your school and what you're studying, but good for you. And I really enjoyed your comment about discovering, about understanding a complicated subject like math through real world examples rather than just memorizing facts. We all know it's better to do something rather than just have someone tell us about it. So again, you're learning a lot of things at your younger age, younger than I for sure. I'd like to hear about your salmon project. I interviewed a girl for a scholarship a year ago. Her name was Grace Lobach, and she worked on the Snake River project. And that was, I mean, I was just so impressed. She was a junior in high school and already involved in going to Olympia to speak about this. Kudos to all of you. I really enjoyed the live voice feature that you had, and we got to hear you speak about that. And I felt like you when you talked about the competition that you had with other, I don't know whether it was schools or groups, but you actually lived what you believed in. And again, there's no substitute for really experiencing things. Your work with the trees and the biodiversity. Yesterday, I think on the news, there was a segment where the fire department was speaking about their project they're doing to help improve the fireproofing of High Drive and other large acreage areas in Spokane. And that's where I see you fitting right into something like that. I loved you talking about being in green spaces makes you happy. I have two girls. My younger one, when she was about 7, we talked about what you want to do and what would you like to do when you grow up. She says, Mom, I just want to go outside and sit under a tree and read a book. That's my happy place. So that reminded me of that when you spoke about it. You talked about working on your associate's degree at SFCC. Education is always a good investment in your future. So kudos to you for you doing your research on which university you think would fit you best. And be confident about your choice. At the end, you kind of said, well, so I think I might be okay. I said, be confident about your choice. You did your research, and I see you doing well there. Talked about your 10-year goal. You do have a nugget of what you want to do. You have a vision. You work on that, it will blossom as you nurture it. It's not just going to stagnate. You work on it, it's going to go places. I will say I did like, I know a lot of you need to read some of it, it's not memorized, so a lot of your time, your eyes are down. I so appreciated it when you looked up often to address the room. And at the end, when you spoke off the cuff, you had everyone's attention. Your eyes were right with us. You like listening to people's voices. We absolutely need that in any career. So you've got a lot of good things going for you. Thank you.
I really love your presentation. When I was in college, which was a few weeks ago, one of the best, actually the class I enjoyed the most out of all of them was called community development. And it really touched directly on what you talked about. And I got to thinking about it, and there's something, first of all, I think it's important to have community development because we lack it more and more every day as social media has taken over, our thought processes in a more global way. So one of the things that I was curious about, this is just an aside, I grew up in Southern California, in the Los Angeles area. And I don't know if anybody is spending time in Southern California, but there's a corridor that goes from LA to San Diego. And it's about 120 miles. And I always thought, at what point, driving south, do I feel like I'm part of San Diego now and not part of Los Angeles? Where's the line? What causes it? Where do I root for the Padres instead of the Dodgers? What are the elements that create community? I mean, it's a lot of things. It's transportation. transportation, it's the mass media, it is newspapers, with the radio coverage, television coverage. It's a really interesting question. And the course had us, it picked an area of Los Angeles that's kind of a ghetto called Compton. And we had to walk several blocks and stop at every business and map out what was there and what they did and how the community was served. Very, very interesting, because collectively, that forms what the community is. And we need to break it down into its simpler elements and figure out a way to connect them all together so they make sense. And that's really hard to do, I think. It's a very difficult task, but I think the rewards are incredible. When Nancy talked about sitting at the breakfast table, it came to mind since I'm a TV kid. I used to watch The Big Bang Theory when it was on television. Maybe many of you did. One character there was Raj, and he was an Indian, and he was afraid of girls. And he finally had a date. So he and his date went out to lunch or dinner, and they didn't even talk to each other. They communicated by texting back and forth at the table. And that's about as bad as it gets. So somehow, some way, I think through community development, you can create a different sense of togetherness, connection, and I think that has tremendous benefits to all of us, personally, emotionally, for the climate, et cetera. So you're onto something spectacular. And I really appreciate your interest in it and your passion toward it, and stick with it. It'll be helpful to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
My thought, sort of following your journey, was if I were you this afternoon, I'd go down to Adam Swinger's office, who happens to be the superintendent of schools here, and say, listen, Adam, I know you're trying to pass this big bond issue, and it's a joint project with the park department, and you're asking for $400 million, or whatever this massive amount, to connect people. I mean, the whole idea is geographically connecting, which therefore will allow a certain kind of immersion with people that you don't necessarily see around. So everything you're talking about, we got a lab going on right here. Now, I have no idea what kind of student voice. I mean, the people who are actually going to populate these parks and want to do stuff, I mean, exactly how he's doing. But if you went up to the fourth floor of the head shed downtown and say, listen, I got this idea, I'd like to be part of that. I mean, you can make an immediate impact. I mean, it's all about community planning right there.
Mm-hmm.
So, just a thought. I know you guys are out into the world and on Garland and all kinds of streets and doing good stuff. But here's one that's coming down the pipe that's a real big impact move for Spokane. And again, it's a question of how, sort of the young folks and a bunch of old farts like me show up. That's one thing. But, folks like you, just think about it.
So we have a lot of hope for you for the future.
Thank you. I feel so accepted.
Madelyn, briefly, I really love the radio spot, and I feel like there was a lot of your passion that came through in that, your intonation that came through in that I would love to see in real life. And because that passion was there, and I would just say, let that bubble a little more to the surface. We got like a couple glimpses of that where, I'm not saying it's not the real, it is, you're right in front of us, but where that radio version of you kind of like poked through, and I just really adored those. So bring more of that radio person into the real life one, because you hit certain notes there, and I was like, oh yeah, this is cool, she really cares about this. And so yeah, let that passion bubble to the surface.